After I fell down the stairs, Diego finally put work aside to take care of me. But the moment we got to the hospital, a client called him away again. When I dragged my fractured leg downstairs to pay the hospital bill, I saw his childhood friend had posted a picture of him dressing her wound, captioned, "Aw, what kind of silly girl scrapes her knee just from walking?" Diego couldn't stop laughing. That's when I realized there was never any client. None of our mutual friends dared comment. Only I gave it a like. Of course, a silly girl deserves a brave hero. You two should be together. Chapter 1. Diego is a workaholic. So when he said a client came looking for him, I honestly understood. I even told him work comes first and urged him to go, "Don't worry about me." But when I hobbled downstairs on a broken leg to pay, and saw Lisa's post of him kneeling to dress her wound, with the caption, "Aw, what kind of silly girl scrapes her knee just from walking?" Diego couldn't stop laughing. A lump formed in my throat. I confronted him. We had a huge fight. He was annoyed. "You get mad so easily. If I told you the truth, would you have stayed calm and recovered properly?" After that, no matter how many messages I sent, he didn't reply to a single one. That night, because I had a bad reaction to the anesthesia, I woke up several times in pain during surgery. When it ended, no one was there to help me. A kind nurse supported me down the stairs. Even then, Diego still didn't reply. I had to handle work, manage the bills, and fetch the meds, all while limping on a heavy, injured leg. In the end, it was the nurse who pitied me and helped with all the errands. On the day I was discharged, Diego finally texted me, "I'm coming to get you." I knew he wanted to brush this whole thing under the rug. That's how it always went with us. He hated conflict. Whenever I got upset about something between him and Lisa, he'd ignore me for a while. Then, when he wanted things to go back to normal, he'd message me first. By then, I'd usually be worn out from the emotional toll, and he knew just when to pull me back in. Sometimes this took 3 days, sometimes 2 weeks. Before, I'd be thrilled he was finally making time for me. But now, I don't know why, I felt nothing. The days I spent handling everything alone had already cooled my heart. I replied simply, "No need, I've already completed the discharge." He replied instantly, "Then let me pick you up." "No, I'll take a cab. I'm already on my way. Wait for me, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Chapter 2. Half an hour passed. Diego never showed up. By now, it was dark. The time hit 9:30 p.m. And I hadn't received a single message. I didn't ask where he was. 10 more minutes passed. Still nothing. I opened the ride-hailing app and ordered a cab. By the time I got home, it was already 10:30. The driver saw me struggling on 2 crutches and kindly helped me up to the 5th floor. The hallway light was broken, and there were no security cameras, so I stayed on a video call with my best friend the whole way. The driver didn't mind my precaution. He dropped me at my door and left without a word. Diego still hadn't messaged me. I didn't question it. I got inside, sent the driver a tip, then cleaned up and sank into the couch. A new post popped up. From Lisa. A new photo, Diego again, treating her wound. Captioned, "Diego had just left when I fell again. I must be the clumsiest girl ever. Haha." He kept teasing me while bandaging me up. It was too funny. Chapter 3. When I first found out Diego had a childhood sweetheart, I was really thrown off. Even though it hurt every time, I still couldn't stop watching their every move like a hawk. I never expected her to add me on WeChat. Later, I found out Diego gave her my contact. He said, "I'm really busy with work. Lisa's all alone in City C. If anything comes up, could you help look after her?" I wasn't someone who checked WeChat posts much, but after that, I started scrolling often, and then, because of the flirty little updates she posted with my boyfriend, I fought with Diego constantly. In the past, I would have blown up, called Diego right away and demanded an explanation. But now, I just gave the post a like, and commented, "A silly girl belongs with her brave hero. You two should be together." Sandra called. I picked up. "Gabby, I got approval from upstairs. Your annual salary's bumped up to 1.3 million. Sound good?" The company was expanding. There was an urgent need for a director in Hong Kong. They specifically asked for me, but I had declined, said it was too far from home. Also, I asked for this every 5 months. You'll get half a month off. You'll still get time to go back and see your guy, okay? Turns out Sandra always saw through me. She knew it was never about the distance from home. It was always about how far I was from Diego. I smiled. No need for the time off. Sandra, when do I start? She was stunned for a moment, then quickly lit up. End of this month. It's a deal. No take-backs. I'll handle the HR handover tomorrow. I opened my laptop to catch up on work. I didn't even hear the door open. When I looked up, Diego was standing there, brows furrowed. Why didn't you answer your phone? I checked. Sure enough, several missed calls. Around midnight, I went to the hospital to pick you up, and you weren't there, he said, clearly irritated. Oh, I blinked, a little surprised. Oops, sorry. I thought you wouldn't come tonight, so I just got a cab. He looked like he misheard. In the past, even if he was late, I'd always call and ask where he was. And that call would usually lead to a Cold War, me being accused of unfounded suspicion. Me not calling at all and carrying on with my plans? That never happened. He sighed. Actually, Lisa fell again. Her bones are fragile, and a fall could mean a fracture. I couldn't just leave her. I didn't even let him finish before responding blandly. Gabriella? He blinked, unsure. I looked up from my laptop as if I hadn't heard him. His frown deepened. You're not mad? Why would I be? I smiled. You guys grew up together, I know that. It's fine. He exhaled sharply and sat beside me. You are mad, aren't you? No, I smiled again. I stopped caring about that stuff a long time ago. He let out a breath and took my hand. I know I was wrong. Let me be the one to apologize this time. Can we just move past it? I tilted my head and chuckled softly. Really? It's okay. You don't need to make it sound so dramatic. Shock flickered in his eyes. It was the first time he had taken the initiative to apologize, and I didn't even throw him a bone. But honestly, when someone's no longer in your heart, it's hard to even get angry. I glanced at the clock, closed my laptop. It's late, Diego. I'd like to sleep. I stood up, but a sharp pain shot through me and I collapsed to the floor. Gabriella! Diego rushed to catch my arm. I pushed him away, without a hint of anger. It's fine, I just forgot my crutches. He frowned. Why do you need crutches? I answered lightly. Fractured leg. He froze. Maybe he remembered the excuse he'd given earlier, that he couldn't leave Lisa because he was afraid she might fracture something. His face shifted into something unreadable. I'm sorry. It was his first time sincerely admitting fault. He even bent down to support me. Let me carry you to bed. But I shook my head and gently pushed him away. It's all right. Just hand me the crutches. They're by the door. I can walk myself. He didn't move. Why can't I just carry you? Before, if he ever offered to carry me, I'd have thrown myself into his arms, overjoyed. But now, somehow, that offer didn't appeal to me at all. I smiled faintly. No need. I can manage. He stared at me, his gaze full of confusion. You're still angry, aren't you? I was stunned. No, really. Funny. Back when I was angry, he hated it. And now that I'm not, he's still not happy. He stepped closer. If you're angry, just say it, okay? I can listen. Why do you have to act like this? Chapter 4. Diego never liked arguing. Even though he was sharp enough to spot logical fallacies in an instant, he repeatedly declined invitations from the school debate team. After he started working, he became even more silent, avoiding unnecessary words whenever possible. Whenever I got upset, he'd dodge if he could. He used to say, I'm already exhausted from work. I don't have the energy to listen to your baseless accusations. I talked to Lisa because she's not in great health. We've known each other since we were kids. What's wrong with being there for her emotionally? If I actually liked her, what would that make you? And besides, she doesn't nag me. Can you please stop comparing yourself to her all the time? Those words used to stab at me again and again. Now, thinking back, they don't hurt as much. Instead, I was almost curious. Why was he now trying to get me to speak? I sighed. I'm not angry, really. His breathing turned slightly uneven. Then why won't you let me help you? Because, I smiled faintly, as though the memory of crying through the pain post-surgery was already far behind me. When I came out of the operating room, I was alone too. He froze. You had surgery? I nodded. You seemed busy at the time. I didn't want to bother you. There was a slight redness at the corners of his eyes. When he looked at me again, there was something like guilt. You should have told me earlier. I shook my head. It's in the past. If I got through that alone, I'm fine now that I'm recovering. He lowered his gaze and took a deeper breath. When he looked up again, there was clear remorse in his eyes. So you're upset I wasn't there for you. I didn't want to explain anymore. I'm really not. Could you just hand me my crutches? I want to sleep now, okay? If you're not mad, then why won't you let me take care of you? He stepped toward me. I was too tired to reply. I hopped awkwardly on one foot to the door, grabbed the crutches. Stop thinking about it. Let's just sleep. His fists clenched tightly. I ignored him and walked straight to the bedroom. As I lay on the bed, I heard his angry voice from the living room. Whatever. I'm going to take care of Lisa. Then the door slammed shut behind him. I glanced at the door, turned off the light, rolled over, and closed my eyes. Before long, I fell into a deep sleep. I met Diego in university, through the student union. Back then, I was drawn to his calm, intelligent demeanor. I crushed on him for ages before I finally won him over, including our 3 years after graduation. We'd been together for 6 years, and most of that time, I'd been orbiting around him. Meanwhile, my classmates from the same year were already making 7 figures. I was still stuck hovering around 600K, thinking about how I used to top my major. I really had let a lot pass me by. I didn't message Diego again, every day. I just focused on work and studied for a certification exam. Sandra had told me if I passed, they'd bump my salary again. As for Diego, after that night, he hadn't reached out either. That was typical. If something could be said in person, he wouldn't bother saying it over text. Usually, I'd be the one rambling on, sharing updates. He'd respond with a dry okay or got it. At first, I didn't mind, until I saw the playful back and forth between him and Lisa. That was when I stopped being so calm. That fight, too, had ended in his usual cold shoulder routine. Back then, those memories would hurt. I'd cling to the pain, find a new excuse, and argue all over again. Now, when I think of it, it just passes. Honestly, the upcoming raise is way more exciting. I had been thinking of inviting Diego to dinner, just to talk, sort things out, but unexpectedly, he messaged me first. He sent a photo of a private dining room. Let's have dinner. I looked down at the restaurant app one was about to order from. Turns out, we'd picked the same place. I realized I hadn't broken my habits yet. This was Diego's favorite restaurant. I'd even secretly learned to cook their signature dishes for him. But he always said eating at home was inconvenient. It was easier to just go to the restaurant. So all that effort? Wasted. That's a habit I'll need to change. Okay. I replied simply. At 7 p.m. I pushed open the restaurant door. I no longer needed the crutches. But I still couldn't walk properly. My gait was uneven. The server helped me to the private room. As I opened the door, the first thing I heard was laughter. Really? Your girlfriend actually said that? I'd never be that petty if it were me. Lisa was sitting beside Diego. The only seat left for me was across the table. I paused, surprised there was a third person. Diego looked at me and gave a gentle smile. You're here. We were just reminiscing about old times. As he spoke, he subtly watched my expression. Oh, then go ahead. I smiled lightly, walked to the empty seat, and sat down. Diego's face changed slightly. I turned to the server. The menu. Please. Thank you. He handed it to me, but before I could even hold it for a second, it was snatched away. Lisa beamed as she leaned close to Diego, pointing excitedly. Dieguito. This one's delicious. And this, and this too. Diego chuckled and looked at her with indulgent eyes. You little foodie. This is all just stuff you want to eat. Huh? Lisa pouted. But it really is good. Diego marked the items she'd pointed at, then handed the menu to the server. The server hesitated, glanced at me. Only then did Diego seem to remember I was there. He handed me the menu. Oh, right. You pick something too. I knew that look all too well. Back when we first started dating, he'd use that same look to study me whenever I got upset. He also used it during the rare debate competitions he joined to scan his opponent for weakness. He was doing it now, searching my face for cracks. But I just skimmed the menu, smiled, and said, "Looks good." Lisa's got pretty decent taste. His hand paused in midair for a second. As if he'd misheard me, I handed the menu back to the server. Thanks. Chapter 5. After handing over the menu, Diego's expression didn't look too good. Lisa clung to his arm and looked at me cheerfully. "I heard Dieguito made you mad earlier." I just gave him a good scolding. I was replying to a client's message. Hearing that, I looked up and smiled. "Oh, that? It was nothing, just a small thing." But Lisa clearly didn't agree. She leaned even closer to Diego, pinched his cheek, and said, "Don't take it the wrong way. We've always played like this since we were kids. I wouldn't go for this blockhead anyway. Don't worry." I smiled and continued texting. "Actually, the reason Dieguito takes such good care of me is because he owes me his life." Diego chuckled affectionately. "Shoo, don't bring that up." "Why not? You clearly didn't tell her." Lisa pouted. "You don't know, but back when we were kids, Dieguito had a huge fight with his parents and stormed out during a storm. I went out to look for him and fell. My leg never healed properly. And at the hospital, we found out I had a congenital bone density issue. That fall nearly crippled me." Diego laughed and turned to me. "Gabriella's not petty. You don't need to explain." I looked up and smiled along. "Right. I stopped caring a long time ago." Diego's face darkened. The dishes started arriving. I reached for a piece of braised pork. But just as I did, Diego picked it up and placed it in Lisa's bowl. He smiled. "Eat up. Isn't this your favorite?" All while glancing at me out of the corner of his eye. I simply smiled, picked up another piece, and put it in my own bowl, still replying to a client's voice message with the other hand. His expression turned stormy. "Sit on the other side," Diego suddenly said. Lisa blinked, thinking she misheard. He nudged her. "Go on." Then turned to me. "Gabriella, come sit over here." Dieguito, Lisa's eyes turned red, but Diego remained firm. I looked at him, then bit into my pork. "No need. Too much trouble." He frowned. "Gabriella, isn't it uncomfortable sitting over there?" "Not at all. Doesn't stop me from eating." He finally snapped. "Is that all you came for, just to eat? We haven't spoken in a week. And you don't have anything to say to me?" I paused. We stared at each other, and for a moment, I felt disoriented. Somehow, the role of the one desperately needing answers used to be mine. My phone rang. It was the same client as before. I answered, then stood up. "Big deal. Client wants to talk in person. Let's put this conversation on hold." "You're leaving?" I walked toward the door with a polite smile. "You two enjoy your meal. I'll take you." Diego stood up. "No need. I'll get a cab." "Come on, I'll drive you." Not wanting to waste time arguing while my client waited, I smiled. "Thank you then." His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Lisa quickly followed. "I'm heading back too." "Dieguito, take me home." "Yeah." Diego looked at me. I smiled. "We're headed the same way." "Why not?" Outside the restaurant, Lisa pulled open the front passenger door without hesitation. She was used to this. When Diego had first bought the car, the front passenger seat was mine alone. He even hung a custom pendant there with a photo of me. "So everyone knows, this seat belongs to my Gabriella." Back then, I was over the moon, until Lisa came to City C. He said they'd grown up together, that his parents had always treated her like family and told him to look after her. So when Lisa wanted to sit in the front, Diego hesitated for the first time. Lisa pouted pitifully. "The back seat's too cramped. It's bad for my legs." Back then, I walked up, leaned against the car with a smile, and said, "Sweetheart, the fake act is coming off a bit strong. The back seat's way roomier than the front. You could stretch out back there and still be fine. And if your vision works, you'll notice the pendant hanging up front. Kindly move along." "Babe, that seat's taken." Diego had exploded with anger that day. She's not in good health. And you still want to fight her? It's just a front seat. Do you have to make it a moral issue? I've known her for years. Do you think I don't know her character better than you? You've changed. Go home by yourself. He opened the passenger door for Lisa. That night, I called Sandra to pick me up. By the time we got back, it was completely dark. Sandra was worried about me being alone at night, so she stayed until I got upstairs safely. Diego never messaged me, not even once. The next day, the pendant on the front seat was gone. You sit in the back, Diego now said, pulling Lisa back. Chapter 6. It was the first time he'd ever chosen me over another woman. Lisa froze, her eyes turning red at the corners. Dieguito. I always sit here. Just sit in the back today. His voice was tinged with impatience as he looked up at me, but I had already opened the back door. It's fine, doesn't matter where I sit. Let's just go. Diego gripped the steering wheel, stealing glances at me through the rearview mirror. Whenever our eyes met, I simply smiled and went back to taking client calls. Polite, distant, since he remained silent the entire ride. Lisa eventually grew annoyed. Dieguito. I've been talking this whole time and you haven't replied once. I'm gonna get mad if you keep ignoring me. Don't distract me while I'm driving. At last, he gave her a response. Ironically, that only made her sulk more. Arms crossed, lips pouted. She stayed that way the entire ride. I didn't say a word. Once we arrived, I got out and left with a simple, thanks. Diego instinctively reached out to help me, but a coworker beat him to it. It's all right, you should go. I glanced at the upset Lisa in the passenger seat. Wouldn't want her getting hard to handle. Diego's fist clenched suddenly, like he was trying to suppress something. His gaze stayed on me until I disappeared into the building. I never looked back. I still hadn't contacted Diego. In the past, I used to message him daily, nagging him, flirting, anything to get a response. Now, 3 whole days had passed before I even remembered he existed. Since walking was inconvenient, I stayed at the office. Diego was a notorious workaholic anyway. Going several days without coming home was normal for him. But then, he messaged me first. My parents want to see you tonight. I paused. I remembered when I joked about wanting to meet his parents during a trip to his hometown. He had hesitated, saying, they're not ready yet. Then, when his parents visited him in City C, he didn't come home for days. By the time I'd prepared gifts to welcome them, I found out they'd already been sent back. He said, they were just here for fun. If you meet them, you'll say all sorts of nonsense and upset them. When the time is right, you'll meet them. Don't rush it. So after all that secrecy, why was he suddenly offering to introduce me? That said, his parents had always been kind to me, even though we'd never met. They'd sent me plenty of gifts through Diego. I still had a Chanel bag they gave me. Sitting at home. Okay, I replied. I got some gifts together. Diego picked me up and brought me home. And the moment we opened the door, laughter spilled out from inside. There was a third person. Sweet girl. If Diego ever bullies you, just tell us. We'll deal with him for you. Lisa giggled in his mother's arms like a pampered child. They looked just like a happy little family. I hadn't expected someone else to be there. I froze. In that moment, Diego glanced at me, a rare flicker of panic in his eyes. I didn't invite her. I swear. I didn't know. Lisa sat up and beamed at him. Dieguito, why didn't you tell me your parents were here? Don't make them think I don't care. She glanced at me with not so hidden intent. I smiled softly. It's fine. We're all one family, aren't we? Diego frowned. I walked in calmly and placed the gift bags on the table. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Ruiz. I'm a friend of Diego's. His parents were momentarily stunned. Diego rushed to cut in. She's my girlfriend. That's when they smiled warmly. Gabriella, right? Come, sit down. Diego's always talking about his girlfriend. We've been wanting to meet you. I gave a gentle smile. Actually, Mr. and Mrs. Ruiz, Diego and we're not in a relationship. What? They looked at Diego in shock. You have another girlfriend? His face darkened, but he quickly recovered. No, just Gabriella. She just means we're getting married soon. I was stunned. He tugged on my hand. Today's my dad's birthday. Let's just have dinner together, okay? His father turned to me, eyes full of anticipation. Really, Gabriella? Looking at his kind, hopeful face, and remembering the gifts he'd sent me before, I couldn't bring myself to ruin his birthday. I nodded. Yes. They both broke into big smiles. During dinner, they snuck out to buy lucky red envelopes and gifted me one, stuffing it with cash. Diego didn't stop them. He just kept looking at me. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Still calling us that? Isn't it time you changed how you address us? I smiled. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. As joy lit up their faces, Diego finally seemed at ease. After dinner, when I returned to the office, I quietly tucked the red envelope under the shoe cabinet. Chapter 7. At his parents' urging, Diego drove me back to the office. He seemed much more relaxed, his tone steady again. I know I've wronged you lately. I want to apologize. It's fine, I replied lightly. About Lisa and me, it's not what you think. The person I've always wanted to marry is. Got it. I cut him off with a faint smile. It's true you should take care of your childhood friend, but not at the expense of your partner. You're supposed to be the one balancing both sides, not picking one over the other. Not many people can tolerate that kind of treatment. He froze for a second, then hesitated before replying. Yeah, the rest of the ride. He seemed restless. In moments like this, he usually smoked. At a red light, he reached for a cigar, but after glancing at me, put it back. I stopped him, picked up the cigar, lit it, and handed it over. One or two now and then is fine. Just don't overdo it. He stared at me. Don't you hate the smell? I leaned on my hand, smiling. It's okay. Go ahead. After all, this would be the last time. He took a puff, but his expression didn't ease, if anything. It clouded over with concern. Diego's instincts had always been sharp. With his intelligence, he could tell something was off. I leaned back casually. You're really capable, Diego. But when it comes to relationships, your way of handling things, well, it's lacking. You ignore how your partner feels, and when conflict arises, you run away from it. I know you never actually cheated on me, but betrayal isn't always physical, is it? If it were anyone else, another girl, Gabriella. He cut me off, his voice laced with unease. What's going on with you today? I looked down and smiled, just thinking out loud. He drove in silence, visibly unsettled, until we arrived at the company. As I opened the car door, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. His eyes were red at the corners. So, we are going to get married, right? I froze. Why are you suddenly asking that? His grip tightened, his voice trembled slightly. Right? What's all this about? Sandra bent down and peeked into the car. Gabby, your client's waiting. Coming! I gently pried his hand off, speaking softly and quickly like calming a child. Be good, we'll talk later. So smooth, like I was brushing him off. His hand stayed suspended in the air. He was prideful. He didn't get out of the car to stop me. That night, I stayed at the office, too busy to go home. He didn't text me either. But the next evening, he called. When are you coming home? I blinked. You're home? He was rarely home, even once or twice a month was a stretch. Yeah, I'll come pick you up. I flipped through some documents with one hand. No need. I'll be home late. It's okay, I'll wait. I didn't know why he was suddenly being attentive, but the truth was, I didn't need him to be. Don't bother. I'm working late with coworkers. They offered to drop me off. He went silent for a while. I said hello a couple of times, and finally, he exhaled shakily. Is it a male coworker? No. Why? Another pause. Then he muttered, nothing, just be safe. Talk later. When I got home, the faint scent of smoke lingered in the air. The lights were off. Diego was on the balcony, cigarette butts littering the floor, another still between his fingers. Hearing me enter, he hurried to stub it out like a child caught doing something bad. I opened the balcony door. The smell shouldn't be that strong. I smiled. It's fine, Gabriella. He walked over, and that's when I noticed his eyes were slightly red. In the next second, his arms wrapped around me tightly. I'm sorry. All those times you waited for me, was it this painful for you too? My mind drifted back in time. Back then, he barely came home once a month. He finally agreed to come home for dinner. I spent hours cooking an entire spread, waiting for him, but the whole day passed before he finally walked in like nothing happened. I sat at the table full of cold dishes, asking him why. He looked exhausted and replied, I was going to come home, but a coworker gave me 2 concert tickets. They're hard to get. So I went. My chest tightened. With Lisa? He sighed. You don't even like that kind of music. But Lisa's a huge fan. Even if I don't like it, I still want to go with you. I'm your girlfriend. I rarely raised my voice, but this time, I did. He exhaled, rubbing his temples. I don't want to argue. Gabriella. I clenched my fists on the table, trembling. I thought you remembered. Diego, today's my birthday. All I wanted was to have dinner with you. And what did you do instead? He finally paused, his tone softening. Sorry, I forgot. Let's celebrate now. I shook my head as tears streamed down. It's already past. It's the next day now. He tried to stop me from heading to the bedroom. Are you seriously making a big deal over this? It's just a few hours. I didn't mean to forget. I struggled against him, but he forcefully sat me back down at the table. It's just a birthday. I said I'd celebrate. Why are you making such a fuss? What's the point? I slapped him across the face. The only time I ever hit him. He let go. 3 days later, a small cake and a necklace appeared on the dining table, but he never apologized. So, why did you come find me today? He flinched, putting a little space between us. He seemed genuinely surprised. Gabriella, today's your birthday. Chapter 8. I glanced at the calendar and suddenly realized. Thanks. I would have forgotten if you hadn't reminded me, I said with a smile. But it's late. Let's just skip it. No. He grabbed my hand, unusually insistent for someone who always saw anniversaries as pointless occasions. This day matters. It's your birthday. Really? Let's not. I'm busy. Gabriella. His eyes reddened again. He clenched his jaw, as if trying to say something, but nothing came out. In that moment, all the brilliance and composure he once carried vanished. He looked just like a child terrified that his parents were about to split up, wanting to scream out his fear but unable to find the words. He had always been proud. How could someone like him beg for anything? Thinking about what I was about to say, I decided it was better to part on peaceful terms. All right then, let's celebrate. His jaw tightened, muscles bulging from how hard he was clenching his teeth. But, Gabriella, it's already the next day. I looked at the clock, just past midnight. Why didn't you come home earlier? He asked. I looked at him calmly and replied. It's just a few minutes, right? I forgot. Doesn't mean I didn't want to celebrate. He stiffened, still holding my hand. It was as if those very words had come from his own mouth long ago. I gently pulled his hand, leading him toward the table. Come on. And by the way, there's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while. There was a cake on the table, candles already placed. As I lit them one by one, I said softly, this cake isn't just for a belated birthday. It's also for something we've needed to talk about for a long time. Forget it. Diego suddenly stepped back. I turned around. He was grabbing his coat, clearly in a hurry. Gabriella, I just remembered there's something urgent at work. Your gift is under the table. I've got to go. Hey, I started to speak, but he was already halfway out the door in under 3 seconds. Like he couldn't get away fast enough. I blinked, then looked down and pulled the gift out. It was a classic velvet box, a proposal ring. I closed the red velvet lid and placed it by the shoe cabinet, right where I had tucked the red envelope from his parents. Chapter 9. After that, Diego disappeared. It was as if hiding from me could somehow stop the inevitable. But he didn't know, breaking up doesn't always require a face-to-face conversation. I sent him a message. Let's break up. He never replied, but that didn't matter anymore. I blocked all his contact info. Not long after, Lisa reached out to me. What did you say to him? He's completely lost it. Refuses treatment. What the hell did you do? I paused. Something happened to him? Chapter 10. When I arrived at the hospital, I finally learned what had happened. Diego had thrown himself into work obsessively, barely eating, barely sleeping. Not even Lisa could talk him down. He kept saying he had to forget something. Then, during a factory inspection, there was an explosion. The flash had temporarily blinded him, but he refused treatment. All he did was scream for someone named Gabriella, until they had no choice but to sedate him and force him into surgery. During his recovery, Lisa tried to mimic my voice to feed him. Every time, he saw right through it, so he starved himself, as if letting his condition worsen might somehow bring me back. I stood at the doorway of his room. He lay in bed, listening to an old voice message I'd once sent him. A single tear slid from the corner of his eye. The doctor said you're not supposed to cry. At the sound of my voice, he bolted upright, arms flailing in the air. Gabriella? Is that you? You're here? I picked up the bowl of porridge on the table, scooped a spoonful, and brought it to his lips. This time, he didn't resist. He swallowed it quietly. You don't need to do this. I'm leaving soon. He frantically reached for my hand. Once he found it, he gripped it with both of his tightly. It's okay. I'll wait. Just come back to visit me after your trip, all right? I won't be coming back. His unfocused eyes blinked, but panic was unmistakable. Diego, I'm moving to Hong Kong. His lips trembled. He opened his mouth, but the words struggled to form. Eventually, he forced them out. It's okay. I'll wait. No matter how long it takes. Or, I'll heal faster. I can leave my job and follow you there, asterisk asterisk. It's no use. My tone was flat, as if I were speaking to a stranger. I don't love you anymore. His eyes glazed over with tears. Don't cry, I said gently. He clenched his jaw and held back his tears by force. But the day my parents came, you said yes. I gave a faint smile. I was just about to tell you. I left the red envelope your parents gave me under the shoe cabinet, along with the ring you bought. The keys on top. Be sure to take it when you get home. The veins on the back of his hand popped, his breath trembling, unable to speak. Diego, this visit was the last thread between us. All the mistakes of our youth end today. Let's part on good terms. I wish you and me both a bright future. I pried his hands from mine, firm, but gentle. By the time I reached the door, it was as if he suddenly realized this was the last time he'd ever see me. He lunged out of bed in a panic. Gabriella, don't go! Nurses rushed in to restrain him. He fought like mad, but still couldn't get close. The 4-needle tore through his skin. He didn't even seem to notice. His eyes, unfocused, searched blindly for where I might be. Tears streamed down. Gabriella, don't go! I'm sorry. Please come back. Lisa grabbed onto him. Diego, stop. I can take care of you. Please stop chasing her. For the first time ever, Diego pushed Lisa away. She stumbled and fell to the ground. I looked at her struggling to stand, clutching her leg. Push her like that again, and she might not walk again. Tears poured from Diego's eyes. The nurses ushered me out in a panic. Go! Please leave! Don't provoke the patient any further. But Diego refused to give up. I don't want her. I want you, Gabriella. Please, don't let her leave. I love her. Don't let her go. I was already outside the room. One last look. He was having his bandages torn off as they treated his wounds, screaming my name through the pain. I turned around and left. Outside the hospital, the sky was vast and clear. Sandra called. You leave tomorrow. Is everything packed? I smiled softly. All ready.